Thomas, say hello, my friend.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi, Case.
Hi.
How are you?
It's so good to be back here.
Good afternoon.
Are you here?
In spirit only.
Okay, we're just going to have
I
some
highly
fun.
doubt that.
We're going to have some fun today. My name's Tom Sosnoff. He's Tony Batista. She is Case Sosnoff.
That is right.
All good?
All good.
Ready to fire away?
I'm ready.
You ready to trade?
Yes, I'm ready to trade.
Good.
I opened my brokerage account yesterday. I opened my brokerage account yesterday though. So I left here it was when I sat down to open my brokerage account that I finally fully understood the message that you were trying to convey yesterday, which is the value doesn't lie in just being told to open a brokerage account because you can do more with your money. It's actually understanding the underlying concepts. Oh, did you catch that pun I just made? Underlying?
Are you a comedy writer too?
I really did. It just came out of my mouth. I didn't even mean to. It was like the underlying concept of that, zero risk and zero return isn't worth or isn't the best approach for someone my age. It might be the safest, and that's why we adhere to it, but it's not the best approach. And you have to understand that giving up some or putting forth some risk is going to get you more return. And that is an approach that I think kids my age aren't willing or aren't ready to take necessarily as frequently as someone maybe your age.
I'll give you a little example because I think you're right. Tony and I were doing this not getting started, but get trading with. And it was this woman that was in here, it was like about 6 months ago. And we said to her, how much money she said she was going to Vegas for the weekend. And we said, how much money are you willing to lose in Vegas? And she goes, I don't know, like $2,000 or $3,000. And then we said, how much money are you willing to lose in the market? She said like 200. Okay,
right.
So the idea that people will be willing to go to Vegas to gamble money and lose $2,000 or $3,000, but yet to actually invest to commit to their future, which again we call that just the introduction of kind of advanced financial literacy, okay, or alternative financial literacy. It's so funny because the commitment level or the risk level is so low.
Yeah.
So people have a low risk tolerance for financial instruments, but they have a high risk tolerance everywhere else in life.
But isn't that kind of like, maybe that pertains to like the fear of the unknown? Like,
of course.
you go to Vegas and you go into it knowing I'm probably going to lose a lot of money.
Right.
But trading, it's like, if you don't know anything about trading, it's like, why even dabble in that if I don't even know anything about it?
But you're not really ever going to be, quote, a trader. You're going to be a sophisticated investor for the new age. You're going to be your generation's new age investor.
All right.
Do you know, so we were baby boomers, and now you're a baby boomer. So your generation, our generation, all we could do is basically buy stock and then learn from buying stock. Your generation, you're going to learn from a whole new set of financial instruments. It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Linda, fire up the screen, please. Okay, so yesterday we did open a brokerage account, and today we're doing identify stock. I actually call this, to a certain extent, the decision, and not the LeBron decision, but the decision. And I call this kind of trade selection, going through the process of, hey, what am I going to do when I get out of here?
Yeah,
You're
that
not
was my
around.
next question.
Okay, let's do it. What are the questions?
I opened up the account. I downloaded the Thinkorswim platform, and I first look. I was like, it looks like I'm about to operate a plane. So I mean, I know what a stock is, and I know that owning shares of stock means that I own a piece of the company, but I don't know more than that. And I know that there's a lot more to know. So my question to you is, what do I do next as someone who just downloads the platform?
So let's do this old school. Let's take out kind of a piece of paper, but just make this up and start to say to yourself, what companies?
Okay.
Like, what kind of companies interest me? Are they tech companies? You're a tech writer, okay? I mean, one of your roles is you write tech requirements. Do tech companies interest you? Do certain commodities interest you? Does gold interest you? Does interest rates interest you? Does oil interest you? Or what sectors? Maybe it's like the financial sector, the banking sector. Maybe it's the retail sector. So you start thinking in terms of kind of companies, commodities, sectors, and try to identify an underlying.
Okay, so here's an easy one. I love Apple.
Apple products, right?
Apple products.
You don't actually love Apple. You love Apple products.
Sure, I could love Apple.
Okay, I guess.
I do I do yoga, so I buy a lot of Lululemon. I don't know if I necessarily, well, I guess yes, I like their products. That's why I spend money there.
Okay.
I
Perfect. Keep going.
okay.
I call it, by the way, I call this, who are you willing to give your credit card to? Like if you're willing to give your credit card, like you said, Apple, you're willing to give them your credit card. Lululemon, you're willing to give them your credit card.
Yes.
Okay. Who are you, or my credit card, who are you willing to give your credit card to?
I mean, I wouldn't mind having that back, that credit card. Let's see. Starbucks. I mean, I have that app
Starbucks.
now. It's just almost like you're not paying, it feels like. And you know, but but then there are companies like Best Buy that I just can't stand going into those stores.
Okay, so hold on. So before you get there, so let's do this. So there are companies that you like. Because one of the first things you have to do is identify companies, commodities, or sectors that you like. Because you could trade, for example, sector ETFs, which we'll get into later on, commodity ETFs, or actual companies. So you mentioned Apple, which you like.
Yeah.
You mentioned Lululemon, which you like.
Yes.
You mentioned Starbucks, which you like.
Yes.
Any other companies which you kind of like?
I mean, that I know the underlying for.
Yeah, any like music companies?
Pandora.
Pandora, perfect. So like Pandora,
Yeah.
which you like. Okay, that's cool. And then let's talk about companies that you don't like.
Okay.
Name some.
I don't know if I've mentioned Best Buy.
Best Buy, you mentioned. Okay.
Verizon, now that they have the iPhone.
Verizon, I don't blame you. I'm on the same page with both of those two. Anything else? Because it's good to have perspective from the long side, companies that you like, and from the short side, companies that you don't like. That's cool.
But what about what if a company I don't like and wouldn't give my credit card to would be a good company for me to trade their stock?
They may be. It very well may
Okay.
be. And as you're gonna see, what we're gonna do over the next couple of days is talk about some aspects of the companies that you like and that you don't like, which make trading them attractive. Like for example, the first thing you have to know is, are all these companies public companies? And what everybody doesn't realize is when they first open a brokerage firm, they might say, "Hey, you know what? I love this
Spotify.
Spotify. I love Spotify, but I can't trade Spotify. I love Pinkberry." Pinkberry's not a public company, is it? I hope not.
I don't believe so.
I love Pinkberry, but it's not a public company. So you have to find companies that are public companies, companies that, second and most importantly, that they have liquidity. So do you
Okay.
know what liquidity means?
Just from watching Tasty Trade, I know it has something to do with getting in and out of the position, but I really don't know anything else.
So the importance of liquidity is that it's when other people use the same product that you use, okay, when other people trade the same underlying, the marketplace is much more efficient. The marketplace is much more is fairer. The marketplace offers you an easy way in and an easy way out.
Okay.
Okay, sometimes it's hard to do things like if you buy a piece of artwork that you really like, it's not a liquid marketplace. It's really hard to sell it.
Right.
And if you buy a house or a condo, whatever your first major purchases, or even a car, sometimes those are not what we call liquid assets. Liquid assets are stocks, mostly stocks, or different types of financial futures that give you kind of the quick in, quick out.
Okay.
You could turn Lululemon into cash this afternoon. You could turn Pandora into cash this afternoon.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's liquidity.
Let's start basic. If I didn't know whether or not a company was publicly traded,
Right.
and I didn't want to venture off the TOS platform, where would I go to look up to see if a company?
That's a great question. So let's go to the trade page,
Okay.
and let's bring her screen up, Linda, if we can. Perfect. So what you want to do is you want to go to the trade page and you want to type in a company. For starters, you'll type in Lulu. And as soon as you type in Lulu and hit enter, what happens is a stock pops in. And it
like
pops
that.
in with a couple of million shares. And just like that, you realize that this company is liquid. And let's type in another company. Like let's type in Pinkberry.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, if I don't know their stock, well,
You don't have to know the stock symbol. We'll just type
Okay.
in Pink. And what'll happen is all the companies with the name Pink, does Pinkberry show up there?
I don't believe
Just type in
so.
Pink. You don't even have to see, there's no company called Pinkberry. So that's not
Sure, you're
publicly
upset
traded.
about that.
Yes. Let's try Starbucks.
Ah,
You see it on there?
I do.
Okay. And that's Starbucks. It'll pop in. It actually didn't pop in.
I don't know why that happened.
Symbol's SBUX. Perfect.
There we go.
And then what was one of the other companies you said that we said wasn't public? I forgot already.
Spotify.
Spotify. So type in Spotify. And there's no company named Spotify, is there? Okay. So that's the easiest way to do it. Then the next thing you'll do is you see that volume number over on where it says volume in the top line? If that's
Right.
less than like 1 million or 2 million shares, then there's not enough liquidity even though it's public.
So there's no liquidity tab on the TOS platform.
No, there's nothing that says, hey, this is liquid. We're just talking about, for starters, we're just talking about the volume number. We're also talking about, see those options that pop down below where it says option chain?
Yep.
If there's no option chain that pops up so that it says there's no options listed, then that means we're probably going to stay away from it too, because our primary focus is reducing cost basis. Okay. In order to reduce cost basis, we have to sell something against a stock that we're eventually going to buy. So when there's no option chains, we kind of eliminate that too for a lack of liquidity.
Okay. What are
Okay.
these weeklies?
Well, let's get to that when we get to more specifically into options.
Sorry, they're just highlighted in red. So,
Yeah, anything in red, always be nervous about.
all right.
Yes. Hey, so the next thing is, so what we've done so far is we've started the process of picking out one or two public companies or sectors or anything that interests you. We've talked about the importance of liquidity. Okay. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a watch list so that what happens is your eyes start to focus. When you open up the platform, you know how you looked at the first time, it's just a bunch of lights.
Yes.
It's kind of scary. Right? You don't want to push any buttons, right?
No.
Okay.
Said it's like operating a plane.
Right.
You would never put me as a pilot.
Right. And especially if your account's funded. See,
Oh, I know.
Right. So as soon as your account gets funded, you don't want to start pushing buttons because you might write an order.
Yeah. No.
Okay. So the next thing we want to do is create a watch list. So let's go back to what we call the monitor tab.
So I don't need a pen and paper for this.
No, you do not. Let's go back. And on the left-hand side of the page, okay, that is a monitor tab.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a watch list.
This.
Yeah.
No.
Where's your cursor? Yes, that.
Right
And you
here?
see that little button? You see that little detach icon on the other side? Go to the other side. Right there. The next one over. That's the detach icon. Click
This.
it. Now, move it to the middle of the page. Just
Okay.
drag it to the middle of the page. Okay. Now expand it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh.
Perfect. Drag it to the middle of the page and just expand it up and down a little bit. Yep. Beautiful. Now, that's your watch list. Okay. And that's just the default watch list. There's actually a Tasty Trade watch list built in there. So it's kind of preset. So you can set it up the way you can have the same watch list that I look at. But the other side to it is you see that first stock up there, which is Apple.
Yeah.
And the second stock, which is Facebook, and the third stock, which is Starbucks, and the fourth stock, which is Pandora, and the fifth stock, which is Lulu. Those are
Yeah.
your stocks.
I see that.
Okay. And so right at the top of your watch list, you've added all your stocks, but let's add some of the stocks that you thought weren't that interesting. So you see the next line under Lulu.
Yep.
Okay. You can add a stock right
Ooh.
there. Add BBBY. BBY, I'm sorry. 2 B's and a Y. That's Best Buy. Okay.
Okay.
What's another stock that you said you weren't that interested in? That maybe you didn't really like
VZ.
that much?
That's right.
Which one?
VZ.
Verizon. Okay.
I don't really know what I'm looking at though.
Okay, what you're looking at right now is just last net change and bid and offer, because
Okay.
these are stocks that the top group of stocks that you like, the next two stocks that you thought weren't that interesting, and they are stocks that you're starting to get your eyes to focus on. Just a bunch of stocks. It's nothing more than you're kind of like, let's just say you were going out to watch a baseball game for the first time, okay, and you went to Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And because you live right near Wrigley Field, you were your first baseball game ever, and you just kind of like looked out on the field. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
Okay. No, I understand that these are the stocks that I've clearly put there.
Yeah.
But I'm just what's last, what's net change. I mean, I can kind of figure out what bid and ask is, but
So last is the
Just wanna
last
know what I'm
price.
watching.
Sure. Last is the last price that it traded for
when?
right now.
Okay.
The last tick.
All right.
The net change is from yesterday's close to where it is today.
Okay.
So what does it say for Apple, for example?
The-
Down what?
down $3.62.
So the stock's down $3.62.
And now it's down 358.
Okay, that's how fast it moves around. So last is the last tick. Net change is how much it's up or down in the day. The bid, which is on the right-hand side of the page, the bid is the price you can sell it for right now. And the ask is the price you can buy it for right now.
Okay, well, I will not be buying any Apple.
Apple's a little bit expensive, but we've got a ton more to do. This was just day 2.
Like Pandora.
You like Pandora?
It's a good price.
It's right in your wheelhouse, but it would have been more in your wheelhouse 2 weeks ago at $8 instead of $10. But Case, that was really good today. So what we covered was the first day we covered why to open a brokerage account and how to open a brokerage account. Today we looked at identifying a stock / underlying, and we talked about what companies, commodities, or sectors you might be interested in. We talked about, are they liquid? We talked about just getting a few names up front so that you can start to watch things. We explained what last and what net change and what bid and ask are, and then we also showed how to create a watch list and how to find the names to make sure that they're public or not.
Right. So would this net change? Sorry, just backtrack 1 second. Would this be a good way to kind of test if something is liquid or not? If it keeps changing pretty frequently?
Not necessarily. It
Okay.
doesn't hurt to see lots of blinking lights, but that could be a function of the market, not necessarily that stock. So what you really want to do is you want to focus on the volume and making sure that they have derivatives.
Okay.
Anyway, that's been day 2 of Where Do I Start? Very good session. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.